On a buzzing airport morning, a man loudly mocked his former wife in front of hundreds of travelers, convinced she had nothing left after their separation. But just when he thought he had won, the sound of powerful engines shook the runway, because an $80 million private jet had arrived, asking for her by name. Stay with USA Drama 2.0, hit the subscribe button, and don't miss stories that touch your heart and spark your imagination. The airport was alive with energy, rolling suitcases, airport announcements echoing through the wide halls, families hugging, business travelers rushing. Among them stood Amara Thompson, a poised woman in her early 30s, dressed in a simple yet graceful outfit. She wasn't wearing designer brands or expensive jewelry. She stood quietly, holding only a medium-sized suitcase and a calm expression. For Amara, this wasn't just a flight, it was a fresh start. She had been married to Ethan Carter, a well-known businessman whose wealth earned him fame in magazines and articles. Their marriage had once seemed like a fairy tale, but behind the scenes, it had been filled with emotional distance, long nights of silence, and a lack of respect that slowly suffocated her spirit. Amara had walked away, not for revenge, not for attention, but for her peace. Today, she was leaving for an international conference, an event she had been invited to as a rising entrepreneur in a tech startup she co-founded after the separation. It was the biggest opportunity of her life. Little did she know, destiny had prepared a scene that would shake the airport. Ethan appeared like a storm entering the terminal. Tall, sharply dressed, wearing a confident smirk, he was accompanied by his new fiancée, Lila, a striking woman dressed in a bold patterned dress that drew attention as she walked. Amara noticed them before they noticed her. She quietly stepped aside, hoping to avoid a confrontation. But fate had different plans. Lila's sharp voice cut the air. "Ethan, isn't that her?" Ethan turned, his eyes landing on Amara with a mixture of triumph and disdain. Well, look who's here." Amara kept her composure. "Good morning, Ethan." Ethan stepped closer, keeping his voice intentionally loud so nearby passengers would hear. "Traveling alone again, no first-class ticket this time. I guess things really changed after you left." Lila chuckled softly. "It's surprising she can even afford a flight." Ethan added, "You should have stayed. Life without me must be difficult." Passengers glanced in their direction. Some looked uncomfortable, others pretended not to stare. Amara took a slow breath. She didn't raise her voice. She didn't argue. She didn't explain herself. She simply said, "Have a safe flight." Her calmness irritated Ethan more than any combat could. The boarding area was full. Ethan made sure his voice carried across the rows of seats. "You know, Amara, Lila and I are flying private today. Not everyone can handle that lifestyle." Lila flipped her hair confidently. "I guess not everyone is meant for that world." Ethan smirked. "You always refused to enjoy luxury. And now look where that got you." Amara looked at him quietly. "You seem very eager to convince yourself you're happier, Ethan." His eyes narrowed. "Don't speak like you know anything." Lila looked at Amara's small suitcase. "Is that really all you're traveling with?" "Oh dear." Amara stayed silent. She had learned long ago that she did not need to defend her choices, not to Ethan, not to anyone. But Ethan wasn't done. "Just admit it," he said. "Leaving me was a mistake. You lost everything, and now you're just." A sudden announcement cut through the tension. "Attention! Arrival of private jet 7X Omega. Requesting immediate presence of passenger Amara Thompson." The entire boarding area fell silent. Ethan blinked. Lila froze. Amara's eyes widened slightly. She hadn't expected the jet to arrive this early. Passengers turned in confusion. The announcer repeated, "Private jet 7X Omega has landed. Passenger Amara Thompson, please proceed to the VIP runway entrance." Gasps filled the air. A group of uniformed staff approached quickly. "Ms. Thompson, we apologize for the early arrival. Your aircraft is ready." Ethan's jaw dropped. "Her jet," Lila whispered. "This can't be right." Amara gave a polite nod to the staff. "Yes, thank you. I'm ready." Ethan stepped forward, panic rising in his voice. "Wait, there must be some mistake. Why would a private jet come for her?" The lead staff member responded professionally. "Sir, this aircraft is commissioned by the Orion Tech Consortium. Ms. Thompson is their guest of honor." "Guest of?" Ethan stuttered. "Amara, what is going on?" Amara looked at him with the same calm expression she wore earlier. "I was invited to speak at an international technology summit. They sent transportation." Lila's voice wavered. "You mean, you're successful now?" Amara answered gently. "I've been working hard since we separated. I co-founded a startup. We recently secured a major partnership. Ethan felt his confidence crumble. But, you never said anything. You never asked, Amara replied softly. Passengers watched with stunned silence as airport staff collected Amara's luggage and escorted her toward the private runway. Ethan stood frozen, his ego had never felt such a blow. As Amara walked, the staff around her treated her with warm respect. Ms. Thompson, the cabin crew is ready. They informed us of your preferred tea selection and work setup. Thank you, she replied kindly. Every step she took felt symbolic, a quiet victory she never needed to boast about. Behind her, Ethan called out, Amara, wait, she turned kindly. Yes, Ethan approached, his voice no longer loud. No arrogance, no mockery, just uncertainty. Why didn't you tell me you were doing all this? Amara smiled gently. I tried to share many things once, but you were always too busy showing the world you were above everyone else. He swallowed. I didn't know you could achieve so much on your own. Amara replied softly. I didn't need permission to grow, Ethan. I only needed peace. Lila stood behind him, speechless. For the first time, she realized that true strength required no display. Amara looked at Ethan one last time. I hope you find happiness. Truly. And with that, she turned and continued walking toward the stairs leading up to the magnificent aircraft. The jet sat like a gleaming silver bird on the runway, sleek, powerful, and worth more than most people would ever earn in a lifetime. The door opened, luxury interiors glowed softly inside. Polished wood, leather seating, quiet elegance. A high-ranking representative stepped out. Ms. Thompson, it's an honor to have you with us. Amara nodded graciously. Thank you. I appreciate the warm welcome. Before boarding, she allowed herself one final glance at the terminal. Ethan and Lila stood behind the glass wall, both staring with stunned expressions. Not in envy, but in realization that strength doesn't come from wealth, or loud voices, or public displays. It comes from quiet resilience, from self-belief, from rising after being overlooked. Amara boarded the jet with grace. The door closed, the engines hummed, and the aircraft took off into a sky that finally belonged to her. As the jet ascended, Amara looked out the window. The world below seemed small. The noise of old wounds faded. A gentle voice from the cabin crew asked, Would you like tea, Ms. Thompson? Yes, please, Amara smiled. She opened her laptop. Her presentation for the summit waited, full of ideas, innovation, and hope. A new chapter was beginning, not defined by what she had escaped, but by what she was becoming. And she knew this was only the beginning of her rise. For more emotional, dramatic, and inspiring war stories, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to USA Drama 2.0. Your support helps us bring more powerful and heart-touching stories every day.